All right, it is that time of the trimester where we are checking out kind of the midpoint and checking in with each other for conferences. So you might remember trimester one sent out a little update, what's happening in class, and just some kind of tips and tricks to help everybody stay informed and on track for science. So that's what's coming at you today. So in science this trimester, we've been focusing on spheres and cycles. Before winter break, we did a couple activities and assignments on the water cycle, so how water moves around, and then the human impact related to that. Same deal here with carbon cycle. Since after break, we've been looking through how carbon moves around the earth, and into next week and the following, we'll be looking at the human impact and kind of wrapping that up. As far as helping everybody stay on track and stay organized with science, here are just a few kind of new things, but also helpful reminders. So tip number one is just stay connected, right? Come to Zoom. So we have this awesome schedule where we get to see each other now 2 times a week, which is better than the 1 time a week we had in hybrid. It is a busy schedule, but it's not the entire day, right? There's also parts in the day where you're allotted work time to do things. So coming to Zoom helps you stay on track and organized. I have so many students telling me, oh, I just get overwhelmed. But I think coming to these Zooms, even though it fills up a chunk of your day, helps you stay on track, because we're in science anyways, we're going over things that I'm asking you to do. And so sometimes we'll do parts together. Sometimes I will go back to sections of things that were assigned. So it's really beneficial, helps you know what's happening. And then, of course, every day in this teacher time, I've allowed for office hours. So every single day, I'm on the same Zoom link that we use for class, and anybody can just jump in there at any time and check in about what they need to do. So maybe it's ask a question about an assignment, maybe it's get help, maybe it's just get started on something. So sometimes I might invite students to come to this, but it's also just open for anybody to join. So it's been really great. Students are kind of figuring that out and taking advantage of that. And it's fun for me. Then we get to connect kind of one-on-one in that time. Tip number 2 is related to that first one about Zoom. I now found a new way in Schoology to track attendance. So it's actually going to be showing up in the Schoology gradebook, and it will look like this, T2 attendance, and it will show dates students did not attend Zoom. If it looks blank like this one, then it means that your student's been to all the Zooms. Here's what I want to make sure you know is even though it's showing up in the gradebook, attendance is not, or points are not given for attendance. It doesn't have a direct impact on a student's grades. I just know we're always looking at the Schoology gradebook, and so that's an easy and accessible spot just to see if your student's coming to Zoom or not. Tip number 3 is just keeping an eye on those daily updates and weekly plan. I've been sending this out, of course, in the weekly email just to kind of show how the week is being laid out in terms of what is due. The update is giving a little more detail about like what you could be working on. So like a little to-do list, and it looks like this. It's a 2-day update. So every Thursday, there's an update showing what you should do Thursday and then Friday. And it's specific to that class period. So if you have science Zoom that day, you've got something to work on during Zoom hours. If you don't have science Zoom, then you have something to work on when your other Zooms aren't happening. So it's just a reminder, like a little to-do list. Okay, what do I need to get done for science each day? And then the last one here is just a reminder about homework checks. We, of course, had these first trimester. They are part of the learning assessment section in the gradebook, so the bigger part of the gradebook. And they're open note. Students can take them more than one time. They've kind of been happening about every other week right now in our science class, and it's just a really great part of the grade because it does allow for students to practice their material because of the multiple attempts and the open note factor. And it really can be a grade boost because they get to do it more than once. So it's just a reminder to everybody how useful and important those homework checks are for not only learning, but also for the grade. So finally here with conferences, I sent out this email, of course, that has a link if you'd like to connect. Officially, Conferences Week is Friday to Friday, January 15th to 22nd, but you'll notice in the link for sign up, there's a few dates outside that window. I just wanted to give the most opportunities possible to connect with people as needed. Working on updating grade books all the way through. Students hopefully remember if they're turning something missing to shoot me a Schoology message so that I can get it updated right away, because once it's marked as missing, I don't get a clear update on who has turned in what. So the more they can remind me that things are getting submitted, the more helpful it is. And then finally, usually this time of year, we are flooded with registration information. I started talking to the students about it last week in terms of what options they have for biology next year. So I asked them to fill out a short survey just so I get an idea of who is looking at what. And then I'm going to be talking to them prior to January 19th. So we kind of get a chance to touch base about what biology might work best. So if you want to hear some of the information that I shared with them, feel free to check out this folder with them on Schoology to see the recommendation flow chart and then a little summary from me about the biology options, and then also science elective details. There's a couple electives students can take as a sophomore, but most of the science electives fall in the junior and senior category just because they need a little bit more background info before some of those electives. So check out those resources. Let me know how I can help. Sign up for a conference time if you want to chat specifically about your student. If you have a question just in general about registration or conferences or grades, you could reply via email, and we can start the conversation there and decide if we want a meeting time or not. So I look forward to chatting with a lot of you in the coming weeks. Have a great day.